Good afternoon and welcome back to the Yarns and Brews podcast. I'm Amanda and I'm coming to you from a very hot and sunny North Carolina. I just want to take a minute to thank all the new viewers. I think there's a lot of new subscribers out there. I'm guessing because Knitting with Cat Hair was so gracious to mention me during her podcast. So I just want to give a warm welcome to you all and all my returning viewers as well. Thanks for everybody for sticking in there with me and coming back. I know it's been a little bit, I've been sick, as you can probably hear in my voice. I'm still not fully recovered yet from whatever I had. It wasn't COVID, it wasn't the flu. I'm guessing maybe strep throat or something like that, which I didn't get tested for, but yeah, I was sick for a solid week. I was down with like a fever and just a cough and a sore throat. So, but I'm on the mend now, so I just thought maybe it's time to film another podcast. So unfortunately, I haven't had a ton of progress, so this will probably be another short episode, but I just kind of wanted to pop in here again and just say hi, and I'm still here and, you know, happy to share all my knitting with you all and see how your progress is doing as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Arte Nouveau Tee by Unwind Knitter. And it is a really beautiful pattern. It's really unique yoke construction. So it has like some raglan increases, but it also has increases around the yoke. So I've never really knit anything that combined both of those together, but it has a good fit to it, I think. So it just has like a little bit of color work up here on the collar. And then it has a really beautiful detail down the sleeve here, as you can see, just like a nice twisted stitch texture. It's giving these beautiful triangles. And then at the bottom it has this just detailing and then, you know, a bind off with the contrast color as well. So I liked this. I knit it several years ago out of Heelside Farms, their fingering weight yarn. And it's a beautiful transition piece for spring and fall. I'm just wearing it now in the summertime, even though I'm dying in my house because I'm very warm right now, because this is 100% wool. I just wanted to wear it. That is what I'm currently wearing. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into finished objects, which I do have a couple to show. So it's not totally going to be a boring podcast, hopefully. So my first finished object to show is my Metamorphic Sweater. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowrey. And I knit mine out of like the transitional color here is Hello Yarn Freeze and Thaw. It's Handspun, and I think it's Superwash BFL if I'm not mistaken. And then the contrast color, this blue-gray color, that is, I think it's Gilead. All the details are going to be down below and also on my project page, but yeah, I think that's Gilead, which is just 100% wool. This is such a beautiful pattern. And then unfortunately I washed it and that yellow color that you see in the yarn has bled all over the grayish color. So you can really see it here on the hem. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but it was such a tragedy. So I'm trying to decide what to do. I didn't really it wasn't that warm of water. I like kind of a lukewarm temperature when I wash my knits. Usually when I wash my handspun, I'll go pretty hot just to get it to bleed and get the extra dye out of there. So I'm not really sure why it bled so much. I've never really had that issue with Hello Yarns fibers bleeding. It's very rare, so I was really surprised when that happened. So I'm gonna wear it for a little bit and then I might rip it out and reknit it. I had a whole extra skein left of that yarn, so I could at least reknit the collar and probably the ribbing at the bottom. So yeah, tragedy strikes one of my knits, but it's not terribly noticeable. So that's why I think I'm just gonna see if I can live with it. But I love the way it turned out, aside from like the bleeding. I thought that was just like the perfect color combinations between the two of them. I don't really wear a ton of blue. This is turning out really gray, but it's actually more of a blue gray. But I actually think it really complements my skin tone. So I'm happy that I chose that color versus like my typical foresty green color that I love so much. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object that I would like to share is my Felix sweater. So I had talked a little bit about this in the last episode. I think I had it, partially done, but I had run out of yarn. So my mom sent me a shawl that I knit her out of the same yarn, and I stole some of that yarn and inserted it into this project and was able to finish it. So it turned out, it was shaped different from my last sweater. So I'm not sure if I had used different needles or if I had done a different size. I didn't take really great notes in my last Ravelry page for the Felix that I had lost. So I'm not sure why this one, it's just a little bit bigger and it just fits different on the yoke. So I think, I'm not sure. I might need to just rewash it and block it again against the backdrop of one of my sweaters that fits really well and see if I can get it to fit a little bit better on me. But I'm happy that I got, one more done out of it. I've worn it a few times around the house because I've been, sometimes I get chilly in the house, so I'll throw on a sweater or something like that. But yep, so that is my only other finished object. But I do have a few other things to share in terms of whips and things that I'm working on, so I will move into that section. So one whip I want to share that I haven't talked about yet is I started just a pair of plain socks for my mom. So this is just out of some local to her wool. It's 100% Icelandic. It's from Holly Berry Icelandics, HOLLIBERRI. And it's just a fingering, I would say it's a heavy fingering weight, 100% Icelandic yarn. So the thing about this yarn is it's definitely going to felt, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm knitting this slipper type pattern, and I'm going to knit it bigger than my mom's foot and then felt it so that she'll have some nice warm slippers for the winter time. So she had picked out this yarn from a local fiber festival and she wanted some socks out of it, but I'm gonna surprise her with more socks anyways, so I'm going to knit slippers instead because I think this yarn is perfect for that in terms of how it felts. So I'm using 2 different balls. They're each 150 yards a piece, so it's more than enough to make some socks. And then still on the subject of my mom, it's her birthday coming up. So if you're watching this, Mom, well, I think it's too late because I just showed those other socks, but I don't think my mom watches this, so I'm not even gonna put a disclaimer in there. I bought a box and I decided I'm going to fill it with socks and dishcloths, which she says she's in dire need of socks, which I'm not sure how it's possible because I'm sure I've knit her about 30 pairs so far, but she wears her socks nonstop. She's really knit worthy. And so I think some of them have gotten holes in them and things like that. But these are all the socks that I'm knitting for her. They're mostly done. I think I just have some heels to cut into the majority of them. But that whole side is socks, and then this whole side is dishcloths, which these are all complete. So I would go through these individually, but I don't remember all the yarn. It's been a minute, and I'll just end up putting them up on Ravelry when they're finished. But yes, they all have like different color cuffs. The toes are gonna match. Well, the toes already do match. The toes are all done on these. And this one looks like I have an endoweave in there. This one, which is more Christmassy. And this one is done. These I did completely on the circular sock machine. The rest of them, just the tubes were done, and then the cuffs and the toes were by hand. And then this pair is also complete. Just like a cute little speckle. So she'll probably love that, which is great. I'm going home, which is in Illinois. I'm going home in August, and I just told her I would bring them with her, or with me. So she'll get her birthday present a little bit late, but it'll be perfect in time for, you know, the cooling temperatures up there. So yeah, I think she's really gonna like it. I've worked a little bit on my Mowrey Wallen project, so not a ton to report, but I've made a little bit of progress on the next repeat. And then I've done the other ribbing for the front side of the pattern as well. And then I'm not sure if I showed this on the last podcast or not, but I've started working on my Ulysse shrug, which is also a Mowrey Wallen pattern, because, you know, one's just not enough. But this is a pattern that she released with her British Breeds gift box. And it's just like a little pullover. It's kind of similar to this shape in terms of like it's a t-shirt, but it's an open front, like cardigan style with short sleeves. So I am doing mine all in the round, which is not in the pattern, but I just find it so much easier to steek. So I am just steeking along the front seam here. I'm not going to steek the sides or anything like that. So I'm a couple inches in, and that is basically my progress. And then I haven't showed this on the podcast yet, but I thought I would because I put a couple blocks on it, but like most knitters, I have a Cozy Memories blanket. So I've worked on this a little bit, especially when I'm like not sure what I want to work on, or I don't want something super complicated or anything like that. So this is my Cozy Memories blanket. This is my hand-spun version. So I do have another version with just like fingering weight scraps, but these are just scraps that, you know, I had left over on a bobbin, or because I ply my braids up. I basically split my braid in half and then I apply it to two separate bobbins. And so sometimes I'll have like a little bit left over on a bobbin. Whereas like some people will spin all of it onto one bobbin and then split them up or whatever. So I do mine separate. I know that, you know, that creates a little bit of quote unquote waste, but it's not really wasted, I guess, when it goes into my blanket and I can remember all the beautiful yarns that I've spun up over time. So that is my Cozy Memory blanket. And I did mine where it kind of starts in the middle here. That's what the stitch marker is for. And then it goes out. So all the lines kind of make an arrow pointing inward, if you can see that. So I'm really happy because this is getting big enough where now I can completely, well, not completely, I can cover up a lot of my body with it while I'm knitting. So it is a perfect cozy little blanket while I'm working on it. And then I've also been working on my Ducat sweater a little bit. So it doesn't look like there's a ton of progress, and it is hard for me to see the progress on it because right now I'm at like 320 stitches all the way around, somewhere around there, but it is getting close to the portion where I'm splitting the sleeves. So I think I'm about like here-ish on it. And I think I'll split, you know, in a couple of rows. So this is made from Fiber Tales 100% Gotland. It's either 100% Gotland or it's a 50-50 like Gotland Romney blend. But I'm using some of her farm yarn that she sold a couple years ago. So this is like a DK weight. I would probably even classify it as a sport weight just because there's 250 yards per skein, but it's like very, very fine, if you can see that. So I know it'll probably fluff up because that's just the tendency, I think, with Gotland wool is to have a halo. So I'm really looking forward to how it's going to wash up and look after that, because it is pretty sheer. Right now I can see through it for the most part. So I still think it's going to be really warm because Gotland tends to be, depending upon how it's spun. But yeah, this is just the Ducat sweater by Kate Davies. So I'm looking forward to just having kind of a plain gray sweater to throw over when I'm getting cold. And then the last knitting project I want to talk about is, oh great, I'm in the middle of a row. The Eden Wrap cardigan. I think that's what it's called. And I'm totally blanking on the designer, of course, but the details are going to be down below in the comments. But I finally got to the point where I'm connecting the two. So how this works is like, this is going to be knit all the way down the back, and then it's going to basically like crisscross, and then the sides are going to be sewn to the back side here. So we'll see how that's going to look when I'm done with it, but it'll have like a tie that'll tie across the bottom. So we'll see. I'm hoping it'll be cute. It looks cute on the model, so there is hope, but this is just out of a Barocco. It's a cotton, I think it's 90% cotton, 10% cashmere blend. They don't make this yarn anymore. It's called Corsica. I know you can find it a few places online, but it's pretty limited in terms of color and quantities. I had to really struggle because I ran out of yarn like by a lot, by like 3 skeins, I think, 3 or 4 skeins, because I'm knitting mine extra long because of my long torso. So I ended up buying like the last balls that I could find on the internet. I felt like even people's stashes, it was just really limited as to what was out there. So if you want this kind of yarn, it is a lovely feeling yarn, but if you want it, then you probably should go figure out what colors you want and where you can buy it from before you can't get it anymore. So that is the Eden Wrap cardigan, and I've been working on it forever. It's been like a year in the making, but to my own defense, I had to rip it out a couple times because it wasn't long enough, and I knew I wasn't going to be happy with something cropped. I even feel like the shirt I'm wearing today is fairly cropped for me, which is, I mean, it's not super cropped, I guess, because it like hits me, you know, right at the hip basically. But I wish I would have knit it just like slightly longer because I'm just not comfortable wearing super cropped things or really anything cropped. So the last thing I want to show is some crochet that I've been doing. So I have been crocheting these, sorry, that was not the pretty side, these little blocks, and I'm going to crochet a bag. So I'm going to crochet them all together. I'm going to do a 9x9 bag. I don't know if I showed this last time or not. I might have, but all of them are going to be outlined in this gray. So this is like the finished version prior to it being assembled. So, and then they all have these like really cheerful summery colors. But I just saw it. I saw it on my Instagram feed. Some bag came across and I was like, that is adorable. And then the colors, I kind of was inspired by this Fiber Love Diaries. She's a spinner, but she's also, I don't know if I think she knits and crochets. I'm not 100% sure. I just know she weaves a lot. And she made these dishcloths last year or the year before. It might've been year before COVID years. It's like hard to remember, but she made these really beautiful dishcloths out of really similar colors to these. I just thought they were like so summery and cheerful. And so I kind of wanted to replicate those colors together. Very kind of like beachy and yeah, just happy colors. So that's where my color inspiration came from on these. I haven't really casted on anything else specifically. I've been doing a lot of schoolwork, which I don't know why I took as many classes as I did, but I took three classes in a condensed time period, like in an 8-week window. So it's about 10 credit hours right now while I'm working full time. So I really haven't been doing a ton of knitting. I haven't been doing a ton of anything, like even my hobbies like playing tennis have really gone by the wayside. But the one thing I am able to do is spin, because I watch a lot of videos for my classes. So I'll like put on a little video, watch it, and as I'm watching it, I will, you know, spin yarn. So I did get this completely spun up and plied. This is Inglenook fiber, and I'm completely blanking on what colorway that is. But that's what the description box down below is for, because I am just really having a bad memory day, I guess. But I also spun this up, and this is Heelside Farms, and it is their silk, Cormo Angora silk blend, and it is just like the loveliest fiber to blend. This is one of my first fibers I have her spun actually. It was my first one on my Handspun spinner, and it was just really, really nice to spin and a great way to start out. I actually recommend that spinners start out on something like nicer, because I started spinning drop spindle with this terrible, like very, very compact merino, and it was the most disheartening thing. I don't like drop spindling anyways personally. I'll do a little bit of it here and there, but I think just having like several bad experiences with it has really kind of like made me distance myself from a ton of drop spindling. I've been doing a little bit of spindle spinning, supported spindle spinning, to try to improve that, but it's also really kind of slow going, so it's not something I gravitate towards a whole lot. Mainly I just like how they look, but it is 100% Polworth, and it kind of came out weird. I didn't think that so many colors would match up, but there's a lot of like matching in here and then in here. So yeah, I thought it would be more variegated like this section here. So it'll be interesting to see how that knits up. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet, because it did kind of match up a lot more than I anticipated. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to share with you guys today. I hope you guys are getting some knitting time in yourselves and you aren't too busy with, you know, life events or world events or things like that. So if you are making anything for the summer, please go ahead and tag your knits on Instagram or your makes on Instagram with the Yarns and Brews Summer Mal 2022 on Instagram. I'd love to see what you made. We have some really incredible makers out there who've made some really beautiful summer projects. So Sylvia, who's a prolific crocheter, has already made several summer tops, despite the fact that she's going into winter now. I think she's going into winter, but I mean, she's crushing some summer knitting for next year. So yeah, so with that, I think I will go ahead and take a pause, and I will see you all next time. Hopefully I have a little bit more to show. I should, given that school is going to be done in a couple of weeks, so I should free up some time for me to make some more stuff. So thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Happy 4th of July for all of you in the United States. I hope you enjoy a nice long weekend. So take care.